I have been getting asked for my take on the movie that shall not be named because it gets you in a lot of trouble and demonetized on YouTube, but I'm going to do it anyways. Cuties. Cuties, Netflix's latest artistic endeavour. And people are understandably very angry about it, and I feel that they are very, very right to be. And people are saying that the movie should be banned, and everyone's saying, "Oh, Count Dankula, you're the free speech guy. Surely you don't feel like the movie should be banned." Actually, I do, and there is a reason for it, a good reason. I'm very, very big on not infringing the rights of people. I don't like it when people have their rights infringed, and I feel it should be prevented. Now, for example, let us look at actual CP, actual child porn. There is an actual child being involved. The child does not yet have the mental faculties and cognitive abilities to be able to consent to doing such actions. And then most of the time it ends up getting filmed and posted on the deep web and traded for money because, an extremely sad fact is that the child porn business, unfortunately, is very, very lucrative. So that is why child porn is illegal, and very, very rightly so, because these children are having their rights violated. And the reason for it is because children, due to their, lesser mental state, where they're not as cognitively developed, they are very, very susceptible to abuse. It is much, much easier to gaslight a child and convince a child into doing things that they otherwise might not do, especially if they're they're still at the point where they see every single adult they know as an authority figure and, I better do what he says. As far as like the power dynamic of relationships go, the adult versus child relationship, the adult is almost like God. The child is going to do absolutely everything the adult says, which is why children are, in those type of relationships, if you want to call them that, are very, very susceptible to abuse. It's extremely easy to abuse them, which is why we ban child porn, which is why we ban it, which is why we ban sexual relations with children. Good, fantastic, rights are being protected. I am all for it. But then you get the other branch of it where it's things like lolly porn, just the drawn porn, or you get people that go into chat rooms and do like age play, role plays, and sort of make up age play stories and all that type of stuff. Now, it's very, very, very weird. It is very weird. But because no actual child is involved and these conversations and role plays and stuff like that are happening between adults, because there is no actual child being involved, then no rights are being infringed. So it's fine. I mean, it's weird, but fine. So then you actually have to have a look at Cuties. Well, now I'm going to be honest. I haven't seen the movie. I actually only just found out yesterday there is a French movie. I didn't know that. Because the only thing that I have seen is clips on Twitter, which everyone was so nice and just constantly posting all the clips all day on Twitter, where I got to scroll down my feed, and instead of seeing funny memes and people to wind up, I got to see an 11-year-old girl's arse twerking, which was that was lovely. Thank you very, very much for that, for making that be like every like third tweet down my timeline. That was a great day. Thank you. But from the clips I have seen and from the stuff I've seen in the movie, even though I've not seen the movie, however, I have seen pretty much almost all the offending clips that have upset people the most, and I've seen them whether I liked it or not. Basically, as soon as I opened Twitter, just, oh, that's nice, there's another one, that's great, thanks. Now, in the case of Cuties, they used actual children. They used actual young children to do these scenes, and I've seen them, and they are sexual scenes. They are sexual scenes. That type of dancing is sexual. It is. There's no two ways about it. It is sexual dancing. And they used actual child actors who were not old enough to provide consent to doing such a thing. They were not old enough to provide consent to doing such a thing. So should the movie Cuties be banned? Yes. Yes, it should. Because it features children doing sexual things when those children were not old enough to provide consent to doing those sexual things. Oh, but their parents said it was okay. Then they've got shitty parents. Then they have extremely shitty parents, right? Now, apparently, the intention of the director was to talk about the hypersexualization of children in society and in media, which is something, yes, I feel you should be drawing attention to that. I feel that children are being exposed to sexually graphic and sexually explicit things, be it through, TV, movies, pornography, songs, music, all that type of stuff, right? I do feel that they are being exposed to far too much of that at an early age. And if you want to draw attention to that, yes, absolutely. I feel that that is something very, very worthy of having a conversation about. But there were other ways you could have went about it. There were many other ways you could have went about it. For example, you didn't have to use child actors. It's the problem with smoking rollies, they keep going out. You very easily could have used adult actors who look very, very young. Very, very young. That's like American movies do it all the time where you've got like people in their 30s playing high school students and stuff like that. You could have had adult actors that look very young. I mean, I dated a girl in her 20s, right? And she was like fucking 4'9" and shit like that, right? There's just girls out there that just look like that. You could have used any one of them. You could have used them, right? That means adult actors who are old enough to have their cognitive functions and have their cognitive abilities to be able to provide informed consent to doing these things. That way, no rights are being infringed and you can have your movie, right? People would still complain and go, this is an outrage, and blah, 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 and everything like that. And I would have been like, yeah, but I'm going to support your right to make the movie because no rights are being infringed. Everyone featured in the movie is an adult. That's fine. I'm not saying you can't have kids in movies, right? You can have kids in movies. You just can't have kids in movies doing that stuff, right? So that's something you could have done. Use some movie magic, use some CGI, or just hired like really young looking actors. America does it all the fucking time. They do it all the time. The amount of movies I've looked at and I've looked at someone and I've went like that. You're not a fucking high schooler. Like, you look about 28, right? But people would have understood, right? People would have looked at that and went, okay, like, those clearly aren't 11, 12-year-old girls, but looking at the things you're getting them to do, yeah, we totally get why you used adult actors because you didn't want to use kids. That would have been much more respectable. And people would have been understanding of that. But you didn't do that. You used actual kids. And from the clips that I've seen, Jesus Christ, I get that you wanted to put a message across, but you did not have to do it in the way that you did. And the problem with that is, these young kids doing these things did not possess the cognitive abilities or cognitive functions to understand the ramifications of agreeing to doing what they're doing. And it's in a more extreme extent because, child porn, albeit very, very extreme, a lot of the people that have suffered at the hands of that and had their stuff, videotaped and put on the deep web, the fact that it is on the deep web, they're not going to suddenly open a newspaper one day or open their Twitter feed and see that stuff because it's illegal. They're not going to see it. They're not going to be reminded of the horrible things that happened to them. Like, that's fine. But the problem with Cuties is this stuff isn't in some little dark corner of the deep web. This is on Netflix. This is in the mainstream, which means 10 years from now, these girls are probably going to see and have to deal with this stuff. And I guarantee you, at least one member of that cast, at least one of those girls, possibly all of them, right, 10 years from now is going to look back on this and go like, oh, holy shit. shit, why did I do that? Why did I do that? I was not old enough to agree to do that. Why did my parents make me do that? Why did the director make me do that? Because that fucking happens all the time with paedophilia. Happens all the time. Like, you get girls who like hit their 20s and look back on the stuff that happened to them and they go, wait a minute, that's not right. That's in fact really fucked up. Right? Why did I hold on? Cops, that was good, which they should do. Right? But, and I guarantee you it's going to be at least one of the girls, possibly all of them, that's going to happen to. And the reason that is going to happen is because they were not old enough to provide informed consent to understand the ramifications, the social ramifications, the physical ramifications, of doing the things that they did, right? Which is why you should have used adult actors and just used movie magic to make them look young. That is what you should have done if you wanted to get your message across. But you didn't do that. And instead, what you produced was softcore child porn. That is what you created. You produced softcore child porn. Right? These kids were not... Dankula, you're supposed to be the free speech guy. You're supposed to be the free speech guy. Yes, I am. Yes, I am the free speech guy. I believe very strongly in freedom of speech and freedom of expression, provided no recognised rights are being violated. And I mean recognised rights as in actual rights. Not this, what about a person's right to not be offended? Right? There's no such right. There's no such right. You, however, as a child, do have a right for people to not molest you. You do have a right for that. It's a very important right. I would say that's one of the most important rights. Very crucial right. A very good right. One that's worthy of fighting for. One that we definitely should have laws to protect. Right? You could have made this movie with adults. You didn't. You used actual children who were not old enough to give informed consent as to what they were doing. So should Cuties be banned? Yes. Yes, it should be. It's softcore child porn. And in my opinion, the rights of these girls are being violated because they do not have the mental faculties to be able to provide informed consent for such a thing. If you used adult actors, then no, your movie should not have been banned. It should not have been banned. But you didn't, and as a result, you made softcore child porn. And also, these girls have extremely shitty parents.